Life Audio.
So welcome to God's Love for the Unlovable and Gospel Rant series and format, the Vagabond Diaries. In the last rant, I shared something special and valuable, I think, to you in your Christian walk, to your family, to your church. I said that ever since the fall, humanity, all sexes, races, socioeconomic categories, demographics, whether you've had an easy life or hard, each of us are born with deep, relentless drive for one thing. It's how we're made. God made us that way. We each long for Father. And by that, I'm not referring to a physical paterfamilias, a physical male, rather a connection, a space, a feeling that you are in the embrace where you feel cherished, appreciated, adored, where someone finds you lovable, lovely, and loved, where just know that someone has your back. It doesn't have to be male or female. It's this connection, yeah? It's this gaze. It's an embrace. And so these connections are hard to come by. And ultimately, this longing for Father can only be satisfied in the embrace of Jesus himself, ultimately in heaven. And the truth is, he feels that way towards you and I now. If you're a Christian, he's paid for that dearly. But something's wrong with your brain. Your midbrain has been so abused and terrorized, and your wiring fried by bad relationship after bad relationship. Your defensive mechanisms just won't let you feel it. So Paul says in Ephesians 3, you and I need to regularly access God's power. That's going to be noticeable, right? Through the Spirit in your inner being, before you can even begin to hope, to begin to experience the vast love of Jesus that's already yours. And it's flooding over you like a tsunami right now. Does that make sense? Doesn't that explain your frustration? We want to experience that sense of Father from Jesus. We do. I'm sure you do. Don't give up on it. Don't stop. Just listen to what we're saying. Yeah? So that's the core message in my new middle school fantasy, The Tale of the Orphan Magician. It's hard to count all of the actual or functional orphans in the book. And that was the point. Including whole countries, including a continent. Everyone in every institution is longing for Father in all the wrong places, right? Including Amaratsim. And that's the continent in the book with the World War going on. Yeah, it's a world war. It's so much fun. So in the book, Amaratsim is going to be embroiled in an all-out world war, driven by longing for Father, which is going on for generations, right? So the book is asking the question, so how do we fix it? Will they ever feel Father, or does it just cycle? And what's the great king going to do about it? It is a book for young teens, 10 to 15-year-olds primarily, but as with all good fantasy books, it's also written for adults. And I think adults you'll value from reading this book. Let me know. I'm almost sure you will. Well, today's excerpt is from the storytelling dragon Ragorna. One more time. He's telling the history of the Trollian War in the context of this lack of father longing. He seems to think that all wars, all conflicts are ultimately caused by the absence of Father, the experience of Father. And if he's right, that's an important messaging for we Christians and our churches and our country. So here he is. Welcome to Gospel Rant and the Vagabond Diaries. We'll get back to Ragorna's thoughts after this word from our sponsors.
At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than money. It's a way to support the people, causes, and community you love. Because helping you put your faith into action is at the heart of what we do. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.
Hi, this is Chris Benjamin. I am the producer for the Salvation Army's podcast, Words of Life. Words of Life is a 15-minute weekly show featuring testimonies, interviews, and conversations on topics impacting the church today. Some of our recent and upcoming guests have been author and podcaster Nicole Eunice.
So oftentimes I think that when we thought we were about to see a new season, we thought spring was on the horizon and it's actually a long, dark winter. Is it possible that God is doing something in that season?
Author and podcaster Rachel Wojo.
I really believe God wants to use the story. You certainly don't do it for fame. You certainly don't do it for any other reason other than you really want to meet people where they are.
And on some future episodes, we will have author and speaker Zach Clinton, as well as a special appearance by Miss Volunteer America, Berkeley Bryant. Listen to Words of Life wherever you get your podcasts or visit wordsoflifepodcast.org.
So here's Ragorna. Where does one start with historical tales of wars like this one? We might begin just as I did 10 years ago at the kidnapping of the Garden City ambassador or the arrest of the depressed teen. But if we did that, we would miss so much of the critical backstory that the tale would just be a regular entertaining tale, perhaps, but not a life-changing one. No, tonight we will begin this reliable history tale at a different beginning, and you'll see what I mean. One logoraic human has said history is written by the victors. But we all know that is overly simplistic, don't we? Over 5 decades ago, on my continent, which humans call Amaratsim, you may have heard about the Great Trollian Wars, which were fought over 5 years. Did you know there are officially 5 versions of the conflict? There are 7 very different textbooks, 3 written in troll script, which is inherently hard to read, plus most trolls can't read anyway. Storyteller's note. Trolls are massive beasts like elves on steroids. Adult trolls are 9 to 15 feet high and can weigh over 500 pounds and come out at night exclusively because exposure to sunlight causes them to turn to stone. There are some slight differences between the male and female trolls. Females are often larger than the males and can produce milk for their babies. Also, they do not have the distinctive facial hair or tusk as their male counterparts. Both have massive hands and arms to carry their vast clubs and bludgeons. They both have cute, pointy ears and long, furry tails, rubbery hide, coarse hair, and an uneven gait. Most notable is their odor, best to be far away and upwind. So, said the dragon, you tell me which one is the correct history. The dragon blew a puff of smoke in front of his face that morphed into a discernible question mark. Very impressive, to be sure. Some say the war began as a fight between 2 female trolls or skessas over a particular rock in the river used to wash clothes. But the truth is, trolls rarely wash clothes, and even if 2 skessas were to fight, it wouldn't be anything special. Not a day goes by that skessas aren't fighting over something. Why not a washing rock? It wouldn't start a war. Others say one industrious troll had dammed the river so he could enjoy a casual swim in the lake that was formed. Most historians like me look askance at this notion since trolls are notorious for drowning. Have you ever seen a troll swim team? No, of course not. How about one account written from the point of view of the lead historian of the Grashalan tribe, which officially won the war? He argued that this tribe needed more water for additional crops to keep up with the population growth. They started as a tribe of 200 and were projected, so he said, to blossom to 220 in the next 5 years. This is also a laughable explanation. No, it is an obvious stretch of anything closely appearing as truth. It is made up of whole cloth. First, population growth among trolls is rarely positive. After all, the birth of new baby trolls cannot keep up with the many that perish in battles. Is the historian attempting to imply that male and female trolls are more romantically attracted to each other in his tribes? We dragons have a phrase for this, Ixlacathonkik Nidjiat Halioft, which roughly means, and I will be kind in my translation, you have got to be kidding me. Have you ever gotten close enough to kiss a troll? Well, of course not. Why would you? I wonder if the species would end in a few generations if skessas weren't asexual, meaning they grow troll eggs in their wombs independently without the need to get too close to their male partner. The bottom line is there has never been a 10% increase in troll population ever, and no wars ever began because of fears of troll overpopulation. Also, crow crops? Is the Grashalan historian for real? I haven't met a single troll who eats farm-grown produce or is even slightly interested in harvesting vegetables and grains. They love raw seafood. The livelier, the fresher, the better. Scales, shells, bones, and appendages. Some sources have suggested they may eat the odd wild mushroom and roots they scrape up on the slopes of the hills in their country, and the odd human who stumbles into their caves unaware. But the idea of a troll sitting down over a plate of kale and Brussels sprouts is absurd. So what are historians to do? Let me ask you, what assumptions about trolls do each of the so-called historians share? The dragon professionally looked over his spectacles at the crowd to encourage audience participation. They smell? Blurted one bright young lad in the third row. His mother was so proud. Said the storyteller, nodding his massive head slightly. I suppose that is one aspect of trolls we all agree on, but not the one thing I am looking for. Thank you, young man. Anyone else? They are, with respect, no judgment from me, disagreeable creatures, said the young lad's mother. Well, I'll be a Mortanian newt. At least one family is listening. That warms my cold reptilian heart. Yes, that's it. Almost all historians assume all Trollian wars begin with trolls' innate propensity to fight and argue. It's in their core DNA, scholars say. It's how they're wired. Fish swim, dragons fly, and elves bore us with long, hard-to-follow, erudite poetry I'm convinced they don't understand either. And trolls, well, they start arguing right after sunset, are involved in fisticuffs by 9 p.m. Hammers and sledges come out at midnight, and survivors break at 5 a.m. to go home before the sun rises to get medical care, and then continue to argue in the relative safety of their own living rooms. Yes? He asked endearly with a bit of a grin. At least it looked like he was grinning. Like I said, it's hard to tell with dragons. He paused as a good teacher would after an important point was made. But I am here to tell you there was a time in the beginning when trolls were not known for their aggressiveness. Unfortunately, they still disliked baths and smelled like sea dragon offal, but they were very peace-loving and known to have a great sense of humor. They had no need for clubs or bludgeons. Being invited to a troll cave for a meal and a pipe wasn't uncommon. And did I mention trolls are voracious pipe smokers? I mean, honestly, it helped cover their body odor a little. I remember a time when humans lived with each other peacefully and were very happy. Elves weren't so standoffish. Dwarves and dragons partied together in the dark caves. Fighting is not in our DNA or theirs. Aggressiveness is not an innate characteristic. There is something else at work here. My point is, it is very simplistic to say good histories are written by the victors. Anyone with a quill and an agenda can write a history. Most are not worth the ink and paper. This is the message the king wanted me to share with all of us tonight. I challenge the usual presuppositions historians and storytellers bring to all wars and conflicts. That is what I will do. If you were to go to the Trollian kingdom Shelamote today, which for a long while was the only kingdom that had any relationship with our king on the Amoratzim continent, you would be surprised at their hospitality. I would still bring nose plugs and a box of those pine tree air fresheners. They are not offended much. What makes the difference? That, my new friends, is precisely the right question. The dragon paused and gazed over his spectacles at the crowd, organizing his thoughts for this important presentation. As I said, reliable history maintains that all creatures subconsciously long for one thing. It is common to all of our species and races. It is true for humans as it is for dragons, elves, eagles, dwarfs, and yes, even trolls. If we don't experience it regularly, we will end up fighting or drinking heavily. Since the Great Rebellion, each of us individuals, tribes, and countries are emotional and relational orphans longing for Father. All creatures, male, female, or asexual, long to experience that worthiness in the eyes of other. He used air quotes with his talents. The end. We'll pick this up after a word from our sponsors.
At Thrivent, planning your finances is bigger than money. It's a way to support the people, causes, and community you love, because helping you put your faith into action is at the heart of what we do. Thrivent, where money means more. Connect with us at Thrivent.com.
Hi, this is Chris Benjamin. I am the producer for the Salvation Army's podcast, Words of Life. Words of Life is a 15-minute weekly show featuring testimonies, interviews, and conversations on topics impacting the church today. Some of our recent and upcoming guests have been author and podcaster Nicole Eunice.
So oftentimes I think that when we thought we were about to see a new season, we thought spring was on the horizon and it's actually a long, dark winter. Is it possible that God is doing something in that season?
Author and podcaster Rachel Wojo.
I really believe God wants to use the story. You certainly don't do it for fame. You certainly don't do it for any other reason other than you really want to meet people where they are.
And on some future episodes, we will have author and speaker Zach Clinton, as well as a special appearance by Miss Volunteer America, Berkeley Bryant. Listen to Words of Life wherever you get your podcasts or visit wordsoflifepodcast.org.
So, what do you think? As I said last time, for the last decade, I've actually been using this truth as core to my gospel message, whether from the pulpit, books, conferences, or one-on-one conversations. And I've come to believe that people subconsciously know this. And when they hear this, it just shines light on this, and it bubbles up eventually, and it shifts the conversation from apologetics and proofs and reason to a deeper question, longing that everyone is experiencing. And by the way, social media has just made that worse and actually made our job easier to this extent. Would it surprise you to hear that most non-Christians have rarely, if ever, heard there is a God who can make them feel lovable, lovely, loved, honored, worthy, safe? So why is it that we Christians hesitate to tell people this good stuff or tell ourselves the good stuff? We're the ones with this message. It's crazy good news for people who have been beat up by relationships, people who have been abused, who struggle with identity, enoughness, issues, addictions, right? All of us. So, dialogue. Do you agree with the reason for the Trollian Wars? Push back. And what about you? If it's true for trolls, might it also be true for you, for your family, for that last argument you were in, for the political atmosphere here in the United States, for wars? And here we go. Is it an overreach to say that all histories, particularly conflict, is driven by largely a longing for father or absence of longing for father? All right. Once again, here's my invite. Sure, the tale of the orphan magician is for 10 to 15-year-olds, but Lewis said a children's fantasy book that adults don't enjoy is just not a good fantasy book, and I agree. And I have written this so that adults could actually enjoy it, right? Check it out. Let me know. I think you're going to enjoy it, and I think you'll learn from it, right? Because I don't know of another source of this message of humanity's longing for Father right now, and another way of speaking about it. So June 2nd, it's going to be available on Amazon and Kindle. A little bit later, Barnes & Noble, and it's going to be available with the entire Kingdom Quest series. You can find out more at drbillsenior.com. By the way, if you want me to talk to your church leadership about this, particularly your youth department, let me know, Bill at gospel-app.com. I'm passionate about this, and if it's resonating with you, it's going to resonate with other Christians. Yeah? Take heart, child of God.
Hey, Ted, what do you want to do today?
Well, Ashley, I've always got work to do, naps to take. But I have a better idea. How about we invite everyone to listen to the Team Us podcast?
I love that idea. Let's do it right now. Hi, everyone. We're Ted and Ashley Slater, and we'd love for you to join us as we talk about teamwork in marriage.
We share how grace, commitment, and cooperation can help couples live the everyday moments of marriage together.
To listen, go to lifeaudio.com and search for Team Us.